our ABC News team was inside watching, listening to it all. Prosecutors didn't hold back, laying out the government's case against one of the biggest names in entertainment. They say the public knew Sean Combs as Puff Daddy or Diddy, a businessman, larger than life. But prosecutors argued there was a darker side to him, saying he used his trusted inner circle to run a criminal enterprise for decades, painting a picture.
Diddy is now caught in one of the darkest and most disturbing legal sagas in celebrity history. Once known as a symbol of luxury, fame, and musical dominance, he now finds himself at the center of an investigation filled with shocking claims, alleged criminal acts, and disturbing ties to other high-profile names in the entertainment industry. It all began with a courtroom trial that started like any other, but quickly spiraled into something much more sinister. The jury came back with a mixed verdict on charges of trafficking and racketeering, and the consequences reached far beyond just the courtroom walls. What's unfolding now is not just a legal case, it's a glimpse into a world that most people never see. One that thrives behind closed doors and away from the spotlight. As the trial continued, shocking testimony revealed claims that Diddy might have paid a $50 million bribe to escape full accountability. This alleged bribe wasn't just about protecting himself, it was, according to reports, about protecting an entire system. A system that some believe was built on secrets, intimidation, and power games. The courtroom was tense. Diddy sat quietly, dressed in a plain suit, no longer the larger-than-life icon he used to be. His eyes shifted between his lawyers and the jury. As the weight of the accusation settled over him, the judge denied him bail, citing statements made during the trial that described Diddy as violent in his personal life, which added to the argument that he was a threat if released. But the real story began to unfold outside the courtroom, almost immediately. Whispers of a massive bribery network emerged. The $50 million, according to multiple sources, was not just a cash payment, but was allegedly funneled through shell companies and charities. It wasn't just hush money, it was protection money. These funds were said to move through well-connected insiders who knew how to keep things buried. Names like Lou Taylor, already infamous for her role in Britney Spears' conservatorship, and even members of the Kardashian family started appearing in speculative reports. This wasn't just a personal scandal anymore. It looked like a system designed to protect the rich and famous at all costs. One of the most disturbing allegations was that Diddy had a so-called witness elimination fund. This alleged slush fund wasn't just for paying off people to stay silent. It was believed by some to be used to make people disappear altogether. Former partygoers, assistants, and even staff members who once worked closely with Diddy were said to have vanished from public view, never to be heard from again. Some believe they were paid off, others fear something far more sinister. The disappearance of a key witness named Jane only made things worse. Jane, who had bravely testified under a pseudonym, vanished shortly after the trial ended. She had reportedly received threats, strange messages, and even experienced a break-in at her home before disappearing without a trace. This isn't just a story about Diddy's actions, though. It raises deeper questions about how justice really works for the wealthy. How can someone facing such serious charges, trafficking, abuse, racketeering, walk away with limited consequences? How does someone build such a strong defense that entire networks are said to fall in line to protect him? Some believe it's because Diddy isn't acting alone. Instead, he may be part of a larger web of powerful people who've built their empires on secrecy, influence, and the ability to control narratives. Federal investigators reportedly found a vault full of tapes during raids on Diddy's properties. These weren't ordinary tapes. They allegedly contained footage from Diddy's so-called freak-off parties, events long rumored in the industry but never fully confirmed. The tapes reportedly show marathon parties filled with drugs, strange rituals, and blurred lines of consent. Some claim that many A-list celebrities, known publicly for having clean and respectable reputations, appear in these videos. That has led many to wonder if the tapes are being used as leverage. What if those videos are the reason so many people are staying silent? What if they hold the key to understanding why Diddy has managed to avoid facing full punishment until now? These tapes have not been released to the public, but the fear they've caused among Hollywood's elite is very real, according to insiders. Some of these gatherings were more than just wild parties. They were allegedly organized in ways that resembled cult-like events with eerie rituals, strict rules, and guests who were either too scared or too drugged to resist. People were said to be forced into activities they didn't fully understand. With cameras rolling the entire time, the footage, many fear, could destroy more than just Diddy's legacy. It could expose a Hollywood culture built on exploitation, manipulation, and the belief that money can fix everything. Some attendees have quietly come forward describing the events as satanic in nature. Whether that's literal or symbolic, the implication is the same. These were not innocent parties. They were organized, controlled, and allegedly used to break people down, control them, and then store the footage for future use, whether for blackmail, silence, or loyalty. No one knows for sure. But the fear around these tapes has gripped the entertainment world like never before. People wonder who's next. Who else is on those tapes, and how long can they stay hidden? The legal system itself is now being questioned. Judge Aaron Subramanian, who oversaw part of the case, is rumored to have attended some of Diddy's events in the past, though there is no solid proof. Insiders claim that he was seen at multiple gatherings hosted by the mogul. If true, that would represent a serious conflict of interest. Some even believe there might have been an agreement made behind the scenes, something designed to keep the verdict from being too damaging to the people involved. A leaked email allegedly hinted at this, with vague references to using familiar contacts on the bench to manage the trial outcome. Though the judge has not responded to these claims, the damage to public trust is already done. Critics are now asking, how much of this trial was actually fair? Why did the judge seem to reject key evidence from witnesses who claim to have been directly harmed by Diddy? Why were some testimonies cut short or discredited so quickly? One example is Jane's testimony, which was powerful and emotional, but later downplayed by the defense. When she disappeared, the court simply moved on, as if she had never mattered. The fear is that her disappearance was not just a tragic coincidence, but part of a patterned one where anyone who speaks up ends up silenced, one way or another. Reports have also mentioned the presence of international operatives, people with connections to intelligence or security work who were allegedly hired by Diddy's team to handle damage control. These operatives were not just publicists or lawyers. They were described as experts in erasing digital records, wiping security footage, and intimidating potential threats. One incident reportedly involved hotel security footage disappearing just hours after authorities requested it. Another involved private investigators being blocked or followed when trying to contact potential witnesses. This goes far beyond regular legal defense. It looks more like a highly organized cleanup operation designed to protect something or someone very powerful. People who used to work for Diddy now claim that he had hidden cameras placed all over his properties, often without the knowledge of guests. These recordings, now in the hands of authorities, may hold the truth, but for now, they remain sealed. The public can only speculate about what's on them and why they haven't been released. Some believe it's because those tapes could destroy the careers and reputations of other powerful people, not just Diddy. And if those people have influence in law enforcement, media, or politics, they may be able to delay or block the release of this material indefinitely. Meanwhile, civil lawsuits continue to pour in. Over 50 individuals have come forward, each with their own stories of abuse, coercion, and manipulation. Some describe being drugged. Others say they were forced to participate in disturbing acts, always under the promise of fame or the threat of exposure. These lawsuits paint a consistent picture of someone who used his wealth not just to succeed, but to dominate, silence, and control. And yet, despite all of this, Diddy continues to have defenders, people who claim that he is being framed, that he's a victim of a smear campaign. But the weight of evidence, the number of victims, and the growing list of insiders breaking their silence make it harder and harder to ignore what's really happening. Even more shocking, there are suggestions that Diddy had planned for this kind of exposure for years. Some believe he stashed billions away in offshore accounts and safe havens, preparing for the day when everything might come crashing down. The idea is that with enough money and enough secrets held over powerful people, he could always escape justice. That theory now seems disturbingly believable, especially as more details leak out about how deep his connections really run. From business deals to private meetings with politicians and celebrities, Diddy's reach seems almost endless. And then, of course, there are the tapes, the heart of this entire scandal. Why haven't they been shown to the public? What are they waiting for? Some believe the tapes are simply too dangerous to release. Others say they're being used to control witnesses or protect people who were at those parties. The fear is that if the tapes are ever leaked, it won't just be Diddy who falls. It could be a whole system, a whole network of celebrities, politicians, and businessmen who built their power on secrets and silence. And that is what scares people the most as the investigation continues. More and more people are coming forward, Each one adds another layer to this growing story of power, secrets, and fear. The legal system is now under pressure not just to deliver justice, but to prove that it even can when someone as powerful as Diddy is involved. The case is no longer about one man, it's about a culture that has allowed this kind of behavior to go unchallenged for decades. And while Diddy may be the face of the scandal, he's not the only one at risk. With every new report, every new witness, the walls are closing, and not just on him, but on everyone who helped make his empire possible. And now, with Jane still missing, the vaults of video still locked, and more lawsuits on the way, the world waits to see if the truth will finally be exposed, or if once again, the rich and powerful will manage to bury it deeper than ever. The silence around Jane's disappearance is deafening. Law enforcement has given no clear answers. Her family remains in the dark, and the people who once supported her testimony now speak only in hushed tones. It's as if the world has already moved on, even though the danger that she feared still lingers. Some believe she may have entered witness protection. Others fear the worst, that she was silenced permanently. The truth remains buried, but her absence casts a shadow over everything that has happened since. It reminds us all that the stakes in this case are not just about money or fame, they're about life and death. And Jane is not the only one who has vanished. Reports have surfaced of others who were once ready to testify, but suddenly backed out. Some received large sums of money in unexplained transfers. Others were seen leaving the country, never to return. One former employee claimed that Diddy had cleaners, people whose sole job was to erase problems. That same employee later refused to testify, even after giving a detailed statement to federal agents. When asked why, he simply said, "I want to stay alive." This kind of fear doesn't come from nowhere. It suggests something bigger, something darker, something no one wants to admit out loud. Then there's the judge. Aaron Subramanian remains silent despite growing rumors that he attended private gatherings hosted by Diddy. The rumors have not been confirmed, but people who say they were there describe seeing him at least twice. If true, this raises serious questions about his ability to fairly preside over the case. A leaked internal email from someone on Diddy's legal team hinted at soft influence on the bench. The email didn't name the judge, but its timing and context were suspicious enough to raise alarms. If a judge overseeing a case like this has personal ties to the defendant, even if casual, it casts doubt over every decision made in that courtroom. Legal experts are now debating whether the case should be reopened or re-examined by a new judge. Some even believe the original trial was compromised from the start. Critics point to how smoothly Diddy's team discredited witnesses, blocked evidence, and framed the narrative in their favor. While none of this proves corruption, it certainly doesn't inspire confidence. And when paired with the allegations of bribes and secret recordings, it makes the entire process feel tainted. At the center of it all are the tapes, the footage, reportedly found during federal raids, is still being reviewed behind closed doors. According to leaked reports, there are hours of footage, possibly even hundreds of hours, showing wild parties, illegal activities, and disturbing scenes involving people who never imagined they'd be exposed. Many of them are said to be celebrities, politicians, and business leaders. Some are described as victims, others are seen as participants. The problem is that the footage is so sensitive, so damaging, that even prosecutors are afraid of what might happen if it's released. Some insiders claim the tapes show people being coerced, manipulated, or drugged. Others say the tapes are used as blackmail. If that's true, it means that Diddy wasn't just recording for his own protection, he was creating a library of leverage. In a world where information is power, these tapes may be his ultimate weapon. And that's why, some say, they've remained locked away. Not because they don't matter, but because they matter too much. Meanwhile, other lawsuits keep piling up. More than 50 individuals have filed civil claims against Diddy, ranging from abuse and coercion to wrongful termination and mental trauma. Many of these people say they were hired under false pretenses. They thought they were working for a music mogul. Instead, they found themselves in environments that felt more like traps, controlled by fear, watched constantly, warned not to speak. A few have even said that they were forced to sign non-disclosure agreements after traumatic incidents. These documents were allegedly used to cover up everything from assault to blackmail. And while NDA letters are common in the entertainment industry, they are not supposed to be used to hide crimes. Several lawyers now argue that these NDA letters should be thrown out, that they were signed under duress, that the people who signed them didn't have a choice. In some cases, victims were offered money, cars, or career opportunities in exchange for silence. Others were threatened. The stories are heartbreaking, and they paint a clear picture. This was not a what-I mistake, it was a pattern, a system. And the scariest part, Diddy might not be alone. Many of the lawsuits mention other names. People who were present, people who helped, people who benefited. These lawsuits suggest that there is a much bigger circle of enablers, some of them still active in Hollywood today. From talent managers to security guards to lawyers. The web of people allegedly involved is huge. Each lawsuit pulls back another layer, revealing more faces, more secrets, more lies stopped behind the scenes. Investigators are now trying to map out this network. They're following the money, tracking digital files, interviewing people who once worked in Diddy's inner circle. Some of these people are finally speaking. Others are still too afraid, but slowly. The walls are starting to close in, and while it may take time, the truth seems closer now than it's ever been. There were also reports of digital cover-ups. IT specialists hired by Diddy's team allegedly wiped drives, erased security camera footage, and scrubbed personal data from social media. One tech expert, who worked anonymously with the authorities, claimed he was hired to erase every trace of a certain weekend. He later turned over copies of files that he was supposed to destroy. Among them were images, texts, and videos. That confirmed what many had feared. The parties weren't just parties. They were setups, carefully staged events designed to trap people and collect dirt on them. This digital evidence is now part of an ongoing federal investigation. Agents are working through terabytes of data. Each file, each email, each message adds a new piece to the puzzle. It's slow work, but it's vital. And it may be the only way to hold anyone accountable. Because in this case, testimonies are disappearing. Witnesses are missing. People are too scared to speak. But the data doesn't lie. Still, the public wants answers, and they're not satisfied with silence. Across social media, people are demanding that the tapes be released. They want transparency. They want to know who else was involved. They want to know how many more victims are out there, still waiting for justice. Celebrities who once defended Diddy are now distancing themselves. Brands are pulling out of deals. Record labels are reassessing their partnerships. The ripple effects are just beginning, and yet there's still fear. Fear that this will be swept under the rug. That, like so many other scandals, this one will fade into the background. Another powerful man protected by wealth and influence. Another victim forgotten. That fear is real. It's happened before. But this time, the scale of the scandal is too big. The number of people involved is too large, and the truth is starting to spill out whether they like it or not. As the weeks go on, more court hearings are scheduled. More documents will be unsealed. More lawsuits will be filed. This is not the end. It's the beginning of a much larger reckoning, one that might finally force Hollywood to confront its darkest corners. Whether justice is truly served remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the world is watching, and the truth, no matter how deeply buried, has a way of finding its way to the surface.